Tom Cruise's relationship with his daughter is in the spotlight also. He decided to party at a Taylor Swift concert instead of attending his daughter's high school graduation.
Suri Cruise recently opened up about her relationship with her father, Tom Cruise, and it's leaving people shocked. For years, the distance between them has raised a lot of questions, with Tom largely absent from her life at key moments. So what's really been happening between them? Why has Tom been so distant, especially when it comes to Suri's big milestones? Could there be more to their complicated relationship than we know? Tom and Katie's roller coaster romance. Katie Holmes and Tom Cruise's relationship felt like a Hollywood dream come to life, passionate, grand, and filled with moments that seemed straight out of a movie. But as with many high-profile romances, the magic didn't last. What began as a whirlwind love story in 2005 quickly captivated fans, only to end in one of the most talked-about celebrity breakups ever. Who would have thought that their seemingly perfect marriage would end in shambles and become one of the most talked-about divorces in the history of Hollywood? Holmes, a rising star already making her mark in Hollywood, saw her life take a dramatic turn when Cruise entered the picture. Having once admitted to a teenage crush on the superstar, her fantasy became reality seemingly overnight. Their relationship was thrust into the spotlight with Cruise's over-the-top declarations of love, like his unforgettable couch-jumping moment on the Oprah Winfrey Show, grabbing headlines. Remember that iconic scene? It was the kind of moment that made everyone believe this was the real deal. Only a few months into their relationship, Cruise proposed at the Eiffel Tower. Talk about movie magic. Not long after, the couple shared the exciting news that Holmes was expecting. Their daughter, Suri, arrived in April 2006, and the couple tied the knot later that year in a breathtaking castle in Italy. With an A-list guest list and a mix of traditional and Scientology-inspired ceremonies, it was a wedding fit for Hollywood royalty. At first glance, the pair seemed unstoppable. Cruise often gushed about his love for Holmes, and she appeared to embrace his world, even converting to Scientology. But behind the scenes, things were reportedly more complicated. Over the years, whispers about the Church of Scientology's influence on their lives and their daughter's upbringing only grew louder. So what went wrong? That's the part everyone was dying to figure out. In June of 2012, the fairy tale came crashing down. Holmes filed for divorce, catching Cruise and the world off guard. Her approach was meticulous. She reportedly used disposable phones and hired lawyers in multiple states to keep her plans under wraps. 11 days later, the divorce was finalized. Holmes won primary custody of Suri, with Cruise granted visitation rights. It was over almost as quickly as it began, but the speculation, that hasn't stopped. Post-divorce, Holmes stepped out of the shadow of Scientology and focused on raising Suri. Cruise, meanwhile, has maintained a low profile when it comes to his relationship with his daughter, sparking rumors that their bond has faded. And just like that, the once idolized couple became a cautionary tale about fame, love, and control. In the years following their separation, Katie Holmes and Suri Cruise have built a life largely away from the limelight. Holmes has been fiercely protective of Suri's privacy, ensuring she grows up with as much normalcy as possible. This dedication paid off when Suri graduated from LaGuardia High School and enrolled at Carnegie Mellon University in 2024. Despite the physical distance due to college, the mother-daughter duo maintains a close bond, often supporting each other's creative endeavors. Suri even contributed to Holmes's films, showcasing a shared passion for the arts. Tom Cruise, on the other hand, has continued his illustrious acting career, delivering box office hits and performing his own stunts. However, his relationship with Suri remains a subject of speculation. Reports suggest that Cruise has been absent from significant milestones in Suri's life, including her high school graduation and college move-in. This absence has fueled rumors of a strained relationship, possibly influenced by Cruise's deep-rooted ties to Scientology. In a 2013 deposition, Cruise acknowledged that Holmes filed for divorce to protect Suri from Scientology, hinting at the complexities surrounding their family dynamics. As Suri embarks on her college journey, she continues to carve out her own identity, separate from her parents' towering legacies. Her recent appearances, such as supporting Holmes during her Broadway performances, highlight a young woman grounded and supportive of her mother's endeavors. Meanwhile, Holmes has debunked reports about Suri receiving a trust fund from Cruise, emphasizing their desire to keep personal matters private. This ongoing narrative serves as a reminder of the challenges that come with public scrutiny and the lengths to which individuals go to protect their loved ones. Their romance remains one of Hollywood's most analyzed love stories. From Cruise's iconic couch moment to the behind-the-scenes maneuvering during their split, it's a saga packed with intrigue. Even years later, it leaves fans asking, what really happened? The price of love and belief. Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes seem to have it all: fame, fortune, and a fairy tale romance. But behind the glitz and glamour of Hollywood, a storm was brewing that would lead to one of the most talked about splits in entertainment history. The crux of their breakup? Cruise's deep-rooted commitment to Scientology and Holmes's growing fears about their daughter, Suri, being drawn into the church's controversial practices. Cruise has long been the poster child for Scientology, crediting it with transforming his life. It's not just a religion to him, it's a way of life, woven into every decision he makes. But here's where things take a turn. What Cruise saw as a guiding light, Holmes saw as a looming shadow over their family. As the years passed, her concerns grew, especially when it came to the potential impact on Suri. Holmes couldn't shake the worry that Scientology's influence would shape their daughter's future in ways she found deeply troubling. The church is known for its strict doctrines and policies, particularly the practice of disconnection, where members are urged to cut ties with non-believers. Imagine being a mother and watching your child's future slip into something you can't control. Holmes wasn't going to let that happen. She feared Suri would be pressured to conform to a life she didn't choose, one dictated by rules that Holmes found increasingly oppressive. By June of 2012, Holmes had reached her breaking point. She made a bold move, filing for divorce in New York, a state known for its favorable stance on sole custody cases. Her strategy was nothing short of meticulous. Reports surfaced that she used disposable phones to communicate with her legal team, ensuring that neither Cruise nor the church would get wind of her plans. And just like that, the Hollywood love story ended in shambles. In less than 2 weeks, the divorce was finalized, granting Holmes primary custody of Suri. The speed of the proceedings left everyone wondering, what role did Scientology play in all of this? The aftermath of their split was equally dramatic. Cruise, who had always been seen as a doting father, seemed to fade from Suri's life. Over the years, sightings of them together became increasingly rare, with some reports suggesting they haven't been seen publicly for nearly a decade. Could his unwavering devotion to Scientology be the reason for this heartbreaking distance? The church's strict rules on disconnection likely played a part, creating a chasm between father and daughter that even Hollywood couldn't script. Holmes, meanwhile, focused on creating a life for Suri that was as normal as possible. No easy feat given their high-profile status. She kept her daughter out of the limelight, focusing on providing stability and love away from the church's influence. Today, Suri is a young woman forging her own path, with Holmes standing firmly by her side. It shows the lengths a mother will go to protect her child. In the end, Holmes's decision to leave wasn't about ending a marriage. It was about securing a future for her daughter that was free from the constraints of an all-encompassing belief system. For Cruise, the story is more complex. A man whose faith in Scientology remains unshaken, even as it potentially cost him his relationship with his daughter. Their story is one of love, faith, and the sacrifices made when the two collide. It's a reminder that behind the bright lights of Hollywood, real-life struggles play out, with stakes that are deeply personal and incredibly high. As both continue their separate journeys, their tale remains a captivating example of the complexities of love and belief in the modern world. But Cruise's story doesn't end there. His previous marriages to Mimi Rogers and Nicole Kidman also unraveled under the public eye, leading many to speculate about the role of Scientology in those breakups. Former church insiders have suggested that Scientology's grip on Cruise may have contributed to the collapse of his relationships. Is it possible that his devotion to the church overshadowed his personal life? The patterns are hard to ignore, painting a picture of a man torn between his beliefs and his relationships. So could Tom Cruise's deep commitment to Scientology have had a hand in the breakdown of his past marriages? With every relationship under the microscope, it's hard not to wonder if his faith was a factor. Were these marriages just not meant to be, or did his beliefs make things too complicated? Let's take a closer look at Cruise's past relationships and the drama that followed. The complexities of Tom Cruise's marriages. Tom Cruise's love life has often mirrored the drama of his blockbuster films, passionate, public, and at times profoundly influenced by his unwavering commitment to Scientology. Before his marriage to Katie Holmes, Cruise experienced two other high-profile unions, each marked by complexities that make you wonder if love was ever enough. Cruise's first marriage to Mimi Rogers seemed promising at first. Rogers, an actress and a practicing Scientologist, introduced him to the church in the mid-1980s. Scientology was initially a shared bond between them, but soon it became something much more for Cruise. As his star began to rise in Hollywood, so did his devotion to the church, reportedly causing strain in their relationship. Rumors swirled that the Church of Scientology's leader, David Miscavige, grew wary of Rogers' influence on Cruise, especially since her family had connections to independent Scientology practices considered off-limits by the church. But here's where it gets complicated. Some insiders claim that Miscavige orchestrated events to drive a wedge between the couple, seeing Rogers as a potential obstacle to Cruise's growing commitment to Scientology. Their marriage ended in divorce in 1990, with Rogers famously saying Cruise wanted to be celibate, a comment that fueled tabloid speculation about his personal life. While the exact reasons for their split remain debated, the influence of Scientology cannot be overlooked. After the divorce, Cruise didn't take long to find love again. On the set of Days of Thunder, he met Nicole Kidman, and their chemistry was instant. Within months, the two were inseparable. They married in 1990, just as Cruise's career was taking off and Kidman's star was beginning to rise. The couple adopted two children, Isabella and Connor, and for a decade they seemed like the perfect Hollywood pair. But as is often the case in high-profile relationships, things weren't always as perfect behind the scenes. So what went wrong? Many believe Scientology played a critical role in the unraveling of their relationship. Kidman, the daughter of a psychologist, an occupation the Church of Scientology opposes, was reportedly never fully embraced by the church. It's alleged that Miscavige and other high-ranking Scientologists saw her as a threat to Cruise's faith and began a campaign to distance the couple. Kidman's reluctance to fully embrace Scientology reportedly led to tension, with the church allegedly using tactics like wiretapping and confidential auditing sessions to sway Cruise against her. By 2001, their marriage was over. Adding to the heartbreak, Kidman's relationship with their children became distant after the divorce. Both Isabella and Connor chose to remain with Cruise and were raised within the Church of Scientology. This led to speculation that Kidman was labeled a suppressive person, making her persona non grata within the church and, by extension, in her children's lives. Kidman has since expressed sadness over the estrangement, though she remains tight-lipped about the role Scientology may have played. For Cruise, both marriages share a striking similarity: the growing dominance of Scientology in his life. From the outside, it seems the church not only influenced his personal choices, but also created divides that were impossible to bridge. Miscavige's close relationship with Cruise reportedly became more of a factor as time went on, with some sources claiming that Miscavige sought to be Cruise's primary confidant, eclipsing the role of his partners. And here's the kicker: Cruise's behavior outside his marriages has often fueled public controversy, especially his outspoken support of Scientology. In the early 2000s, his infamous interview with Oprah Winfrey, where he jumped on the couch and professed his love for Katie Holmes, raised eyebrows. But it was his criticism of psychiatry and the psychiatric profession that brought him even more scrutiny. Cruise, a prominent advocate for Scientology's stance against psychiatry, publicly clashed with actors like Brooke Shields, who revealed her battle with postpartum depression. His aggressive stance, labeled by some as self-righteous, led to intense backlash, with many questioning how far his beliefs were shaping his public image. What really shook Hollywood, though, was the reported fallout over Cruz's alleged involvement with Scientology's secretive practices. Leaked documents suggested that Cruz had spent millions of dollars promoting the church's agenda, including efforts to recruit Hollywood stars. In addition, Cruz's relationship with the church's leader, Miscavige, was said to have gone beyond that of a regular member, leading to speculation about the true influence the church had on his career and personal life. These controversies, despite his stardom, seemed to raise doubts among fans and critics alike, who began to wonder just how much of Tom Cruise was still just Tom Cruise, and how much had become shaped by Scientology. Tom Cruise's romantic history isn't just a series of high-profile breakups, it's a look into how personal beliefs can shape and sometimes shatter relationships. For both Rogers and Kidman, navigating the complexities of being married to Cruise seemed to mean confronting not just his fame, but also his deepening ties to Scientology. And while Cruise remains an icon in Hollywood, his marriages tell a story of love complicated by faith, power, and the demands of an unusual lifestyle. While Cruise's personal life, particularly his marriages, has been deeply intertwined with his devotion to Scientology, perhaps the most significant relationship in his later years has been with his daughter, Suri Cruise. The dissolution of his marriage to Katie Holmes and the subsequent challenges in their relationship shed light on how Scientology continued to influence his family life. But how has his bond with Suri evolved, especially considering the tensions surrounding the church? Cruise's relationship with Suri has been a subject of intense media scrutiny over the years, particularly after his divorce from Holmes in 2012. Holmes, who famously left Cruise and took Suri with her, has remained outspoken about her decision, and Cruise's absence from several key moments in his daughter's life has raised questions about his relationship with her. Notably, Cruise was absent from Suri's high school graduation in 2024, leading to speculation that his devotion to Scientology continues to keep him apart from her. At the same time, Cruise's public appearances with other celebrities, like attending Taylor Swift's Eras Tour in London shortly after Suri's graduation, have sparked even more questions about where his priorities lie. For Suri, growing up without her father has undoubtedly been complicated. Despite being one of Hollywood's most famous children, she's lived a relatively low-profile life, largely shielded from the press by her mother. However, the public nature of her father's absence and the continued tension surrounding Scientology only adds to the intrigue of their fractured relationship. In the end, Cruise's love life and his relationships with both his ex-wives and his daughter remain a testament to the complexities of balancing fame, faith, and family. Scientology's influence continues to loom large over his personal life, making it clear that for Tom Cruise, love may not always have been enough. The rift between Tom and Suri. Suri Cruise, the daughter of A-list stars Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes, has spent much of her life in the public eye, with the media obsessing over her every move from a young age. But as she turned 18, she took a significant step toward independence, one that truly caught people's attention. Gone was the name Suri Cruise. In its place, she adopted Suri Noel. It wasn't just a subtle shift, it was a bold move that seemed to mark her definitive break from her famous father and the complicated history between them. From the moment she was born, Suri was thrust into the spotlight. Her parents, who were one of Hollywood's most famous couples, made sure that their little girl became a global icon almost overnight. She was frequently seen out and about with Katie Holmes, often photographed looking like a miniature fashionista, drawing comparisons to her stylish mother. However, her public appearances were not always by choice, especially as her parents' relationship grew more strained. As a child, Suri was exposed to the pressures of living under a magnifying glass, from being caught in the glare of paparazzi to dealing with the aftermath of Tom and Katie's very public divorce in 2012. But how did such early exposure to fame shape her identity? As she grew older, she seemed to retreat further from the public spotlight, staying out of the limelight compared to other celebrity children. Though her father remained a major star, with his association to Scientology being a significant part of his public persona, Suri's relationship with Tom began to grow more distant. With her mother Katie having full custody, Suri spent her formative years in New York City, far from Tom's homes in Los Angeles and Florida. During this time, Katie kept Suri's life as private as possible, away from the pressure and expectations of Hollywood. As a young girl, Suri appeared to thrive in her new life, participating in extracurricular activities and keeping a low profile. Could it be that this more normal upbringing is what allowed her to stay grounded despite the media attention? It was clear that Katie was doing everything she could to provide a sense of normalcy for her daughter, and Suri seemed to blossom in that environment. For years, Suri's relationship with Tom has been a source of speculation. Following the separation of her parents in 2012, Suri has spent most of her time with Katie, living a relatively private life in New York. As Tom, a key figure in the Church of Scientology, continued to rise in the ranks of the controversial organization, the divide between father and daughter grew deeper. Is it possible that Scientology played a bigger role than we realized in the estrangement? The Church's rigid stance on family relationships has long been a point of concern, especially when it comes to members who have relationships with non-believers. For Suri, being raised away from the influence of Scientology likely added a layer of distance between her and Tom, whose faith remained central to his life. As Suri entered adulthood, the decision to change her name seemed to signal a clear desire to step out of her father's shadow and embrace her own identity. The choice to adopt her mother's middle name, Noel, was not only a personal one, but also a reflection of the bond she shares with Katie Holmes, who has been her rock through the years. Katie has always been fiercely protective of her daughter, making sure Suri remained out of the public spotlight as much as possible. While Tom continued his film career and his role in Scientology, Katie kept their lives private, focusing on Suri's well-being and upbringing. Despite the ongoing distance between them, Tom has continued to provide financial support for Suri. He has covered her medical expenses, education, and other necessities, even though he was no longer required to do so once she turned 18. Yet this gesture of financial care hasn't been enough to mend the emotional gap. Why, after all these years, has the relationship between father and daughter never truly healed? It's a question that still lingers, especially considering the public nature of their fallout and the way Scientology may have influenced the family dynamics. Even as Tom continues to pay for Suri's expenses, the emotional distance remains.
Suri, now a young adult, seems ready to move forward on her own terms. She has shown interest in the arts, performing in a musical and even appearing in her mother's films, contributing to soundtracks. While it's unclear whether Suri will enter the public entertainment world, one thing is evident: she is taking charge of her own narrative. With the name change, she's signaling to the world, and likely to her father, that she is no longer just a Cruz in the shadow of her parents' fame. As she moves into adulthood, Suri Noel Cruz is defining herself not only through her own choices, but also by the way she has chosen to distance herself from her father's influence. The name change is a powerful statement, one that speaks volumes about her relationship with Tom Cruise. While the father-daughter relationship remains a deeply private matter, this shift in identity reveals a young woman who is ready to step into her future with a firm sense of independence, far removed from the pressures of her famous lineage and the shadow of Scientology. It's a new chapter for Suri, one that she appears determined to navigate on her own terms. Suri Cruz's journey is one of self-discovery, where she has not only stepped away from her father's shadow, but is also carving out her own identity and future. While the specifics of her relationship with Tom Cruise remain private, one thing is clear: Suri is in control of her story now, and her name change signifies just the beginning of a new chapter. With her head held high and her future in her own hands, Suri's next steps will be determined by her own choices, not her parents' fame. The world is watching, but she's not looking back. So what are your thoughts on this? Could Cruz's extreme religious beliefs be the main reason why Suri has decided to distance herself even more? How do you think parents' beliefs affect the upbringing and well-being of children? Tell us in the comments. And don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more intriguing stories. Thanks for watching.